What if the love you've hidden from all your life suddenly appeared at your door in the middle of a storm? What if the very man you were destined for carried both salvation and ruin in his eyes? This is not just a story of wolves and queens. It's a journey of forbidden desire, dangerous secrets, and a bond that could shatter kingdoms. Before we dive into this story, make sure to subscribe and join us on this unforgettable ride because trust me, you won't want to miss a single heartbeat of what's coming. Chapter 1. Snow blanketed the lonely cabin in a white silence, every flake glowing faintly under the moonlight. Ariel sat by the fire, her body curled against the old chair, eyes heavy with exhaustion. Years of solitude had made her weary sharp. She trusted no one. And yet that night, the world decided solitude would not be enough. A knock shattered the silence. It wasn't timid. It was urgent. 3 hard pounds against the door, rattling the wood as though whoever stood outside had nowhere else to go. Ariel's breath froze in her chest. Her pulse quickened. No one came this far into the woods. No one knew she was here. She rose slowly, her bare feet silent against the wood, her hand hovering over the latch. Another knock, louder this time, desperate. A deep commanding voice followed, roughened by exhaustion and cold. "Open. I won't harm you." Her instincts screamed not to trust it. She lived by instincts. Still, something in that voice made her hesitate. Authority wrapped in raw desperation like a predator disguising his hunger. She pulled the door open an inch. The storm outside raged, snow swirling wildly. And there he was, a man. No, not a man, not entirely. Tall, broad-shouldered, his black cloak torn and heavy with snow. His face was half-shadowed by a hood, but his jawline was hard, and his lips pressed tight against the cold. Then his eyes lifted and gold burned in the darkness. He stumbled forward, collapsing against her doorframe, blood staining the snow beneath his boots. Ariel's heart thundered. The stranger was powerful, dangerous. Every instinct told her to close the door and lock it. But when his hand shot out and caught her wrist, her world shifted. Heat seared through her skin where he touched her. A brand, a spark, a pulse she hadn't felt in years. And then a mark glowed faintly on her wrist, right where his hand gripped her. Her breath caught. His voice dropped, hoarse but commanding. "You don't know me, but I know you. Let me in or they'll kill us both." The storm howled louder beyond the snow. Shadows moved, shapes darting just out of sight. Wolves, dozens of them. Ariel's eyes widened. Her world had been built on isolation, on hiding. Now danger itself stood at her threshold, wrapped in a man's body with the eyes of a beast. He swayed, his body heavy, his blood dripping onto her floor. Yet even broken, his presence filled the room with heat and threat, and something far worse, attraction. Against all logic, she dragged him inside. His weight pressed against her as the door slammed shut. His head fell against her shoulder, and she felt his breath hot, rough against her neck. The firelight caught his face then. Strong, savage, beautiful in a way that was almost inhuman. And when his eyes flickered open again, glowing brighter, Ariel realized what she'd just allowed into her sanctuary. Not a man, not just a king, the Alpha King. His eyes lock on hers, gold blazing, and he whispers, "They found us." The words, "they found us," still hung in the air when his body gave way. Khan, the Alpha King, collapsed against her with a weight that drove the air from her chest. Ariel staggered beneath him, nearly buckling under his size, his heat, his sheer presence. For someone on the edge of death, he felt impossibly alive, a furnace of strength and danger. His blood seeped hot through the fabric of his torn cloak, staining her hands as she struggled to drag him toward the fire. She cursed under her breath, every muscle straining, her small frame dwarfed by his massive form. When she finally managed to lay him down near the flames, she allowed herself a single breath, chest heaving, and then she looked at him. Really looked at him. His hood had fallen back, revealing hair as dark as midnight, damp with snow and sweat. His face was chiseled, brutal in its perfection, yet softened now by pain. Every line of him screamed dominance and power, even unconscious. He wasn't just a man she had led into her sanctuary. He was something more, something dangerous. His chest rose and fell with labored breaths. Instinct warred with caution, but she couldn't ignore the streak of crimson that soaked his side. Her hands moved before she could think, tearing fabric, pressing cloth to the wound. The moment her skin brushed his, a current surged through her. Heat connection, the same searing pulse she'd felt when he grabbed her wrist at the door. And then he murmured her name. Ariel. His lips barely moved, his voice broken, yet certain, as though he'd whispered it 1,000 times before. Her blood ran cold, then hot, her body caught between terror and something far more dangerous. Desire. How could he know her name? She lived in shadows. She trusted no one. And yet, hearing it on his lips was like being claimed. Her pulse thundered in her ears as she leaned closer, caught between the need to hear him again and the fear of what it meant. His face twisted with fever, and for a moment, he looked less like a king and more like a man fighting death. Her hands pressed firmer against his wound, desperate now. She told herself it was survival. His survival, hers too, if the wolves outside were real. But deep down she knew something else had already taken root. A pull, a bond she didn't understand but couldn't deny. The storm outside howled, claws scratching faintly against the door, a reminder that danger hadn't vanished. Still, she couldn't tear her gaze away from him. From the way his body seemed to know hers without ever having touched. From the way her name on his lips made her feel seen after years of being invisible. Then it happened. As she shifted her hand to adjust the cloth, her palm brushed his bare skin. The heat seared her, and suddenly a glow flared against her wrist. Ariel gasped, jerking back. A mark burned there, luminous, swirling with strange patterns that pulsed in rhythm with his shallow breaths. Her trembling fingers traced it, and the glow only intensified, linking her heartbeat to his. Her eyes flew to his face, fear and wonder clashing in her chest. The Alpha King, half conscious, turned his head toward her, golden eyes cracking open just enough to catch her in their fire. "You're mine," he rasped. The mark on her wrist seared hotter, binding them as shadows slammed against the cabin door. Wolves outside demanding blood. The glow on her wrist burned like fire, each pulse of light echoing Khan's ragged breaths. Ariel's mind spun. She wanted to deny it, to tear away the warmth that chained her to him, but his words still throbbed in her chest. "You're mine." The cabin door rattled violently. Snarls carried through the night, low and feral, vibrating through the wood. Shadows prowled against the seams, claws scraping. Ariel's stomach twisted. The wolves were real. The danger was real. Khan stirred, forcing his body upright with a grimace, blood still staining his side. His golden eyes cut through the dim firelight, locking on her as though she were the only thing holding him tethered to the world. "They're hunting me," he said, voice rough but laced with command. "And if you shelter me, they'll hunt you too." Her heart stuttered. She had built her life around silence, invisibility, safety, and shadows. To be seen was to die. And yet here he was, a storm in human form, dragging her into his war. "I should throw you to them," she snapped, though her hands trembled as she pressed another cloth to his wound. "Let them finish what they started." His lips curved, not into a smile but something darker, sharper. "You could, but you won't." The fire cracked. Heat stretched between them, not just from the flames, but from the space where their bodies hovered too close. Her anger was sharp, but beneath it pulsed something far more dangerous. Desire. Her eyes narrowed. "You speak as if you already know me." "I do." His voice dropped deep, intimate, vibrating against her chest as though he was speaking through her instead of to her. "I've known you before you knew yourself." Her breath caught. She wanted to call him a liar, to shove him away, but his fever-bright gaze held her still. His hand rose, fingers brushing her wrist where the mark glowed faintly. The moment his skin touched hers, the air thickened, charged, alive with something primal. Ariel's body betrayed her. A sharp inhale, her pulse racing, the awareness of how close his lips were to hers. The argument balanced on the knife edge of something else entirely. She whispered, trembling, "Why do I feel like this?" His gaze dipped to her mouth, lingering, starving. His breath mingled with hers, hot and unsteady. "Because you were never meant to hide, Ariel. You were meant to burn." Her world tilted. She should have pulled back. She didn't. Instead, her lips parted, and for one heartbeat, their mouths hovered so close the promise of the kiss burned hotter than any touch. The sound shattered it. A howl ripped through the night, joined by others until the air trembled. The cabin shook as bodies slammed against the walls, claws raking wood. Ariel jolted back, her heart lurching into her throat. Khan's eyes snapped toward the door, glowing gold. His body coiled like a predator, even as blood seeped down his side. "They've found us," he growled. His voice carried no fear, only fury, only promise. The door buckled inward under the force of the attack, splinters flying as golden fire flared in Khan's eyes. The door buckled once, twice, then split open with a crack that echoed through the cabin. Snow blasted inward, carried on the backs of shadows with eyes that glowed red in the night. Wolves, huge, snarling, their fangs slick with hunger. Ariel stumbled back, hard in her throat. Her breath came ragged, chest heaving. But beside her, Khan stood taller, straighter, as if the rush of danger pumped strength back into his broken body. His golden gaze blazed, and a sound tore from his chest, low, guttural, and commanding. "Stay behind me." His voice wasn't human anymore. The first wolf lunged, jaws wide. In a blink, Khan moved faster than her eyes could track. His body bent, rippled, bones shifting, flesh shattering. The man she had pulled from death vanished, and in his place rose something primal. A wolf. Massive, dark as night, with eyes burning molten gold. His growl shook the floorboards, vibrating up through Ariel's body until her legs quivered beneath her. She should have been terrified. She was, but terror bled into awe and awe into something far more dangerous. Hunger. Khan struck, his jaws clamping around the intruder's throat with a crack that silenced the cabin. Blood sprayed hot across the snow-dusted floor. The enemy howled once before collapsing in silence. Ariel pressed her back to the wall, her hand clamped over her mouth. She'd never seen such raw power, untamed, savage, beautiful. Every movement was violence and grace bound into one. The wolves came at him in a blur of claws and teeth. But Khan was faster, fiercer, a storm of muscle and fur and dominance. And yet, through the carnage, his eyes kept flashing back to her, protecting, claiming, as though each kill was not for survival but for her. Her chest tightened. Every time blood sprayed, every time his body slammed against another beast, she should have recoiled. Instead, her pulse throbbed between her thighs, her body betraying her with a heat that had nothing to do with the fire. The last wolf lunged from the shadows, its weight slamming her to the floor. Pain exploded as fangs sank into her arm. Ariel screamed, white-hot fire racing through her veins. The venom burned like molten metal, spreading up toward her shoulder. Before she could gasp again, Khan was there, ripping the beast off her with a roar that rattled the rafters. His massive body shielded hers as his jaws tore the attacker's throat open. The enemy wolf fell limp, blood pooling around them both. Ariel's body convulsed, fire ripping through her veins. Her vision blurred, the room spinning. She looked up at Khan, his muzzle dripping crimson, golden eyes blazing, and for a heartbeat she saw not a monster, but the man who had whispered her name in the dark. He lowered his head, pressing his nose to her wound, growling low, primal, protective. His heat engulfed her, his scent filling her lungs. And even through the agony, her body arched toward him, desperate for the contact. "Don't fight it," his voice rumbled, half growl, half word, as his form shifted back. Blood streaked his half-naked body, eyes molten. He loomed over her, pressing his hand hard to her wound. "You're mine now. No one touches what's mine." Her blood ran hotter, her body trembling under him, not just from the venom, but from the claim that seared as deeply as the bite. Her eyes widened in horror as the mark on her wrist flared to life again. Only this time, it wasn't golden. It pulsed red in time with the venom spreading through her veins. Ariel's scream fractured into ragged gasps as the venom ripped through her veins. Each pulse hotter than the last. She writhed on the blood-stained floor, her body trembling between agony and something she couldn't name. Something that wasn't pain at all. Khan crouched over her, his bare chest slick with sweat and blood, his hand pressing against the wound as if he could hold the fire back. But when his golden eyes met hers, his expression wasn't just concern. It was hunger. The mark on her wrist flared red again, pulsing with every heartbeat, glowing against his palm like it was alive. The air between them thickened, charged, vibrating with a dangerous magnetic pull. "Breathe," Khan growled, his voice low, raw, vibrating against her skin. "Fight it." "I can't," she gasped, her back arching violently. Her skin burned, but not from fever alone. Every inch of her body was hyper-aware of him. The press of his hand, the heat of his body hovering above hers, the scent of musk and blood and rain clinging to him. Her thighs clenched, desperate, shameful, uncontrollable. The venom's fire licked down her spine, coiling low, feeding a hunger she had never known. Khan's hand slipped, accidentally grazing the swell of her breast as she convulsed. Her moan broke free, strangled and raw, shocking them both into stillness. His jaw tightened, his breath ragged. "This isn't just the venom," he whispered, voice trembling with restraint. "It's you." Her eyes glazed, lashes wet as she whispered back, desperate. Then stop holding back. For a moment, time fractured. His chest heaved, every muscle tight, trembling with the battle between his instinct to claim and his will to protect. He leaned down, lips brushing her ear, his heat searing her. "You have no idea what you're asking," he growled. But her body answered for her. Her fingers dug into his shoulders, dragging him down, needing his weight, his strength. Her pulse thundered, the mark on her wrist glowing brighter beneath his touch. He cursed low and guttural before capturing her mouth with his. The kiss was violent, scorching, born of desperation and need. She clung to him, lost in fire, in lust, in the terrifying realization that she didn't just want him, she needed him. The kiss deepened until she was gasping into his mouth, her body grinding against his without thought. The venom and desire tangled, twisting through her veins like twin fires. His hand pressed into her hip, holding her still as his mouth claimed her throat, teeth scraping close enough to tease another bite. She should have been terrified. Instead, her moans filled the cabin, raw and unrestrained. Then, in the midst of their fevered union, Khan froze. His golden eyes widened as he tore his gaze to her wrist. The mark had changed. No longer just red from venom. It pulsed with two colors, red and gold, interwoven, alive. His breath hitched, disbelief breaking his composure. "This," he whispered, staring at her like she was no longer the fragile woman who had pulled him from death. "This isn't possible." Her voice trembled, weak but insistent. What? What does it mean?" His throat worked, his body tense above hers, every instinct battling between desire and revelation. "It means," his words were barely a growl, both reverent and fearful, "you're not just human." The mark flared once more, brighter than fire, before Ariel's body went still in his arms, her breath catching as her eyes snapped open, glowing faintly with the same gold as his. Ariel's breath came ragged as the glow faded from her wrist, but its fire lingered in her blood. She stumbled to her feet, bracing against the cabin wall. Her body still burned from the fever, from his kiss, from the terrifying clarity of what had just happened. "You knew." Her voice cracked, but the fury beneath it was sharp, alive. "You knew something was different about me." Khan rose slowly, towering, his chest heaving, every muscle taut with the battle raging beneath his skin. His eyes glimmered gold even in the shadows. "You shouldn't have seen it. Not yet." Her laugh was bitter, trembling. She shoved him in the chest, though her hand lingered too long against the heat of his skin. "I was bitten, Khan. I nearly died. And you kissed me like you've been waiting for this moment your whole life." The tension snapped taut between them. He pressed forward, pinning her back against the wall with a speed that stole her breath. His palms caged her in, his body heat searing. She gasped as his scent wrapped around her, thick and wild, stirring the fire in her blood to unbearable heights. "Don't twist this," he growled, his face inches from hers, his lips brushing her cheek with every word. "You don't understand what you are. What that mark means. If I tell you, if I claim you, there's no going back." Her chest rose and fell against him, every inhale dragging her tighter into the cage of his body. Her thighs clenched, heat pooling low, shame and hunger blurring into one. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Then tell me." His eyes closed, jaw tight, as if her plea was the one thing that could break him. And then, in a rush of fury and need, his restraint cracked. He seized her wrists, lifting them above her head, his mouth descending until their lips brushed, feather-light, devastating. Her moan caught in her throat as his body pressed flush to hers. His heat, his power, his claim radiating through every inch of her. "You drive me to madness," he hissed against her mouth. "Do you know what it costs me not to take you right here?" Her answer was a trembling whisper, reckless and raw. "Then stop fighting it." Their mouths crashed together, hungry, bruising, desperate. The kiss was fire and fury, her body arching into his, as if surrender was inevitable. His hand trailed down her arm, her waist, gripping her hip with a dominance that made her ache. She felt his control splintering, his body quaking with the weight of restraint. And then the door splintered. A howl split the night, deeper and darker than any before. Khan's body stiffened, his golden eyes snapping to the shadow looming in the doorway. A man stood there, broad-shouldered, his eyes glowing silver instead of gold. Power radiated from him like frost, cold and sharp. His smile curved cruel. "I see you found her first," the stranger drawled, his gaze sliding over Ariel with hungry possession. "But she doesn't belong to you, Khan. She's mine." Khan growled low and thunderous, his body shielding Ariel as the rival alpha stepped into the cabin, declaring war with nothing but his presence. The cabin seemed to shrink as the rival alpha stepped inside, his presence suffocating the air. Snow flurried in behind him, the storm outside echoing the one brewing within. Khan's growl rumbled deep, vibrating through Ariel's bones, but it was the stranger's gaze that made her pulse hammer. Silver eyes, cold and unyielding, sliding over her like a claim already taken. Khan moved instinctively, his body shielding hers, muscles coiled for violence. "Leave, Darius," he snarled. "You've no right to be here." "No right." Darius chuckled, a sound that made Ariel's skin prickle. "She carries the mark. You know what that means. She is more than just yours, Khan. She belongs to the bloodline, and I intend to claim what is rightfully mine." Ariel's breath caught, her wrist tingling with a phantom burn. Her mark, the one she hadn't understood, the one Khan refused to explain. Suddenly, it wasn't just a mystery. It was leverage, a prize. She pressed a hand to Khan's back, feeling the tension radiating from him, the heat of his rage. But inside her, doubt churned. He had lied to her. Hidden truths. And now another man, another alpha, claimed to know what she was. Darius's silver eyes found hers. And though she hated the pull of it, something inside her shivered at the raw confidence there. He saw her not as fragile or broken, but as something powerful, necessary, desired. "You feel it, don't you?" Darius murmured, stepping closer, his voice silk and steel. "That hunger in your veins, the fire waking inside you. Khan would cage it. He fears what you are, but I..." His lips curved in a smirk. Deliberate, devastating. "I would set it free." Her chest tightened, torn between the steady storm that was Khan and the icy fire that radiated from Darius. Two forces, opposite and consuming, both tugging at something deep within her. Khan's snarl cut through her confusion. "You'll never touch her." The cabin shook as he shifted partially, claws tearing through his skin, fangs flashing in the dim light. Darius answered in kind, silver fire gleaming in his eyes as his own power stirred the shadows. Ariel's heart thundered as she realized this wasn't just a fight. This was a challenge, a brutal, primal contest where she was the prize. Her body trembled, heat pooling low as the air thickened with dominance, violence, and desire. The air itself seemed to bend around their rivalry, demanding her choice before she even knew what that choice could mean. The storm outside howled, echoing the storm inside her. And then Darius leaned close, his lips brushing her ear as Khan prepared to strike. His whisper was a blade against her soul. "I know the truth about your bloodline, Ariel. Khan has kept it from you. He fears you'll hate him once you learn what you really are." Her blood turned to ice. Khan lunged at Darius, teeth bared, but Ariel could no longer breathe. The question pounding in her chest was worse than any battle. What truth had Khan kept from her? Dear listener, if your heart is racing as fast as Ariel's, if you felt every tremor of betrayal and desire through this bond they share, then I urge you, subscribe now, because the next chapter will shatter everything you thought you knew. The truth about Ariel's bloodline is about to be revealed, and it changes everything. Khan's darkest secret is about to surface, and Darius will stop at nothing to claim what he believes is his by ancient right. The battle is only beginning, and the real war, the one fought with words and destiny rather than claws and fangs, is about to commence. Subscribe, and don't miss the moment when Ariel learns who she truly is, and the impossible choice that will follow. Khan lunged, his growl splitting the night. A sound not just animal, but something far more primal. A thunder that shook the cabin walls. Darius met him head-on, silver eyes flaring with cold fire as the two collided. Wood cracked, glass shattered. The cabin became a battlefield, claws and teeth flashing in the stormlit dark. Ariel pressed against the wall, breath ragged, heart pounding. She wanted to scream, to flee, but she couldn't. Her gaze stayed locked on Khan, on the fury in him, on the sheer savagery of what he was. Blood sprayed as Khan tore into Darius's shoulder, the rival alpha snarling as his silver power seared through the air. For a moment, it seemed evenly matched. Two predators, neither yielding, their dominance vibrating through every beam and board. But then Khan shifted further, his wolf surging through, golden eyes burning with a ferocity that swallowed reason whole. He wasn't just fighting, he was destroying. Darius faltered, forced back, his power crumbling beneath Khan's rage. With a final roar, Khan pinned him to the ground, fangs sinking close to his throat. One movement and Darius would be gone. "Khan!" Ariel's voice cut through the storm, desperate, shaking. For a heartbeat, he didn't move. His chest heaved, golden eyes feral, claws pressing deeper into Darius's flesh. The beast was winning. Then Ariel stepped forward. Her hand trembled, but she pressed it to his arm. The moment her skin touched his, Khan stilled. His golden gaze flicked to her, wild, lost, and then softened. Her touch tethered him, dragged him back from the abyss. Slowly, with a guttural growl, he released Darius, who staggered to his feet, sneering through the blood. "This isn't over," Darius spat before vanishing into the storm. The silence left behind was deafening. Khan collapsed to his knees, shaking with restraint, with the weight of nearly losing himself. Ariel knelt with him, her hand still on his skin, her body drawn to his heat despite the chaos. "Don't look at me," he rasped. "Not like this." But she did. Her fingers slid to his jaw, forcing his golden eyes to hers. "I see you, Khan. All of you." The air thickened, charged with something unbearable. His lips hovered inches from hers, his body trembling as though one more breath would shatter his resolve. And then resolve did shatter. Their mouths collided. The kiss was fire and hunger, raw and desperate. Every restraint ripped away. Khan crushed her against him, his hands rough on her waist, her back, pulling her closer as if he could merge her into his very skin. Ariel's moans spilled into his mouth, her nails clawing his shoulders, her body arching with need that had been simmering since the moment he appeared at her door. They stumbled back onto the furs before the fire, their kisses bruising, his body pinning hers, every touch claiming, and every gasp surrendering. His mouth trailed down her throat, fangs grazing, leaving her breathless and burning. The world outside vanished. There was only this, the forbidden, intoxicating, terrifying bond that neither could deny. Her body yielded, his dominance overwhelming, yet threaded with worship, reverence. It was violent and tender, desperate and inevitable, a storm neither could resist. At some point, exhaustion claimed her. The fire flickered low. The storm howled outside, and Ariel drifted into sleep, her body curled against his. But when dawn bled into the cabin, she woke with a start. Her wrist burned. She shoved back the sleeve and gasped. Faint, shimmering, but undeniable. A mark had appeared on her skin. Not the bite, not the fever. Khan's mark. Her heart pounded as realization struck. Somewhere in the night, he had claimed her, binding them in ways she wasn't ready to face. Ariel jolted upright, her breath shallow, eyes wide. The faint shimmer on her wrist pulsed softly as though alive. She rubbed at it, willing it away, but the glow lingered. Proof she couldn't deny. Khan's mark, his claim. Behind her, he stirred. The fire's embers painted his skin in bronze light, muscles rippling as he shifted onto an elbow. His golden eyes fixed on her, half wild, half weary, as though he too felt the weight of what had been sealed. "You shouldn't look at me like that," he murmured, his voice a graveled caress. "Like what?" Her throat tightened. "Like you're already mine." The words struck something deep, pulling her between fury and longing. She wanted to deny it, to shove him back into the storm where he belonged. But her pulse betrayed her. Her body betrayed her. Worse still, her mind wasn't only her own anymore. Because she felt him. A flicker of exhaustion heavy in her chest. A flare of desire searing low in her belly. She staggered back, clutching her wrist. "No!" Khan's jaw clenched. "It's begun." "What's begun?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "The bond. You touched me when I was lost. When the beast had taken over, you tethered me, and in doing so, you opened yourself. Now my strength, my hunger, my rage, they'll bleed into you." He paused, eyes glinting with something dangerous. "And yours into me." Ariel's breath hitched as a flash of heat rippled through her. Not hers, not entirely. His need, his longing, his claim. It pulsed through her veins until her knees buckled. Khan caught her, pulling her against his chest. "You're fighting it, but the more you resist, the stronger it will burn." Her nails dug into his skin. "I don't want to lose myself to you." His mouth hovered by her ear, his breath molten. "Maybe you're not losing yourself. Maybe you're finding what you've always been." The tension snapped like a bowstring. His lips found hers, fierce and consuming. Her body answered despite every whisper of caution in her mind. His hands roamed, urgent yet reverent, igniting her skin until she trembled in his arms. Each kiss deepened the pull. Each gasp of surrender she swore she would never give. But when she broke from him, panting, her chest heaving, the fear was still there. Not of him, but of herself. Of how much she craved him. Of how much the bond demanded. Hours later, when he slept, she wandered the cabin in search of air, of distance. Instead, Her gaze caught on an old chest buried beneath the furs. Something about it tugged at her, insistent. She knelt, pried it open, and froze. Inside, wrapped in yellowed parchment, was a letter. Her name scrolled across the front in her mother's handwriting. Hands shaking, Ariel unfolded the page. My daughter, if you are reading this, then the blood in your veins has awakened. You are not only mine. You are heir to a throne you were never meant to know. A power bound to wolves and kings alike. The letter slipped from her grasp, her pulse thunderous. Ariel's mark pulsed again, brighter this time. And for the first time, she realized the bond with Khan was not just fate. It was legacy. The letter trembled in Ariel's hands. Her mother's words seared through her like fire, unraveling everything she thought she knew of herself. Heir to a throne, bound to wolves and kings. Her chest rose and fell sharply as she stared at the faint glow pulsing from her wrist. It wasn't just Khan's mark. It was something older, deeper. Behind her, the floor creaked. Khan's presence filled the cabin, raw and imposing. His golden eyes lingered on the parchment before darkening, jaw clenching as if he already knew what it contained. You read it, he said, voice low, heavy. Ariel whirled on him. You knew. You've been hiding this from me. Silence stretched, his gaze unreadable. Finally, he nodded once. Yes, I knew. Her heart slammed against her ribs. And you let me think I was just ordinary. Just a woman you stumbled across in the woods when all along. Her voice broke, anger and fear clashing inside her. I'm not just your bond. I'm part of something much larger. Something you've kept from me. Khan closed the distance between them in 3 strides, his heat radiating as he loomed over her. Because truth is a blade, Ariel. And you weren't ready to bleed. She shoved his chest, though her body ached to sink into him. Don't decide for me. His hand caught her wrist, the mark between them flaring. The jolt shot through her veins, electric, undeniable. She gasped, back arching as if her body betrayed her every protest. Khan's mouth hovered inches from hers, his restraint fraying. You think I don't fight this every moment? You think I don't want to claim you until you can't breathe without me? But your bloodline, it could crown me or it could destroy me. Don't you understand? Loving you isn't just forbidden. It's lethal. The words should have broken her. Instead, heat surged between them, a wildfire consuming reason. His lips crashed onto hers, rough, desperate, as though he couldn't keep away another second. Her moan tangled with his growl, the kiss devouring, binding, her hands clawing into his back as if she'd already surrendered. They stumbled to the table, scattering the letter. Parchment crumpled under their bodies as Khan pressed her down, his hands claiming, her body answering. For a breathless eternity, there was no throne, no destiny, only the burn of need and the terror of wanting him too much. But when the fire dulled to silence and the storm outside softened, Khan pulled away, his eyes shadowed, tortured. You have to trust me, he whispered. She wanted to. Saints, she wanted to. But the weight of his secrets pressed heavy. Later that night, when the cabin fell still, Ariel stirred awake. The bond tugged at her, pulling her toward the door. She moved silently, every step colder than the last, until voices drifted through the crack in the wood. Khan's voice low, grim, deadly. If it comes to it, I'll sacrifice her. Even if she's mine. Better her than the kingdom. Ariel's breath hitched, the words slashing through her chest like a blade. She stumbled back into the shadows, heart shattered. Her alpha, her bond, the man who made her burn, had just sworn to destroy her if destiny demanded it. Ariel staggered back from the door, her heart thundering so loud she thought the night itself could hear it. Sacrifice her, even if she's mine. The words echoed, slicing her open. The glowing mark on her wrist felt suddenly like chains. She shoved the door open, fury crackling like lightning. Khan spun, his golden eyes widening as she stormed into the firelight, her hair wild, her breath sharp. You'd kill me, she hissed. Your mate, the woman you claimed in blood and fire. You'd sacrifice me for your throne. Khan's face hardened, but a flicker of anguish passed through his gaze. Ariel. No. Don't you dare say my name like I still belong to you. Not after this, she snapped, her voice trembling with rage. Don't you dare make this about duty. You kissed me like I was yours. You touched me like I was your salvation, and all along I was just a pawn you'd throw to the wolves. The bond between them pulsed violently, heat sparking as fury twisted with desire. Khan caught her wrists, pinning her back against the wall, his breath a growl against her ear. You think this is easy for me? You think I don't want to sink into you until I forget my name? You are mine. But if it's you or the kingdom, then I'm already dead. She spat, even as her body trembled under his hold. Then die. Their eyes locked, molten gold against storm gray, the air between them molten. For a heartbeat, fury bent into something darker, hungrier. His mouth crashed against hers, savage, desperate. Every ounce of rage transforming into devouring heat. Her moan betrayed her, her body arching into him. Even as tears burned her eyes, his hands roamed her curves, claiming, desperate, the kiss bruising, consuming. For a moment, she wanted to surrender, to let his betrayal dissolve in the fire of his touch. But the words replayed, cutting through the haze. Sacrifice her, even if she's mine. With a ragged cry, she tore herself from him, her chest heaving. You don't get to claim me and condemn me in the same breath. Ariel. His voice cracked, but she didn't wait. She bolted from the cabin, the night swallowing her whole. Snow crunched under her feet, tears freezing on her cheeks as she ran into the dark woods. Away from the warmth of the fire, away from the bond that both enslaved and burned her. Branches tore at her dress, the cold biting. But she didn't stop until shadows moved. Figures emerged from the treeline. Too many wolves, eyes glinting with malice, and at their center, a figure stepped forward, familiar and dangerous. Darius. His smile curved sharp. Running from him, right into me. Seems fate is kinder than I thought. Ariel froze, her mark searing as if warning her. But before she could react, the rival alpha's hand gripped her arm, dragging her into the dark. Ariel's scream split the night, her body vanishing into enemy hands as Khan, far behind, felt the bond rip like fire through his chest. The forest swallowed Ariel. Darius dragged her through the snow, his grip bruising her arm, his wolves circling like shadows. Her heart pounded with terror, but beneath it, something burned hotter. Betrayal. Khan's words, sacrifice her if needed, echoed like poison. Thrown into a clearing lit by a roaring fire, she staggered to her knees. Darius crouched before her, his sharp grin gleaming in the firelight. Beautiful, he murmured, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The Alpha King doesn't deserve something like you. Not when he sees you as nothing more than a weapon. Ariel jerked back, but his hand caught her chin, forcing her eyes to his. His voice dropped low, smooth as sin. Didn't you wonder why he came to you that night? Why fate pushed you together? It wasn't fate. It was need. He needed your bloodline. He needed your power. You were his tool. Nothing more. Her throat tightened. She wanted to deny it, but Khan's own words clawed at her mind. Sacrifice her. Darius's thumb brushed her lips. But I would worship you. I'd never sacrifice you. I'd make you mine completely. His nearness was suffocating, the heat of his body overwhelming against the frozen night. And when he leaned closer, his breath hot on her skin, her body betrayed her with a shiver. Your mark is glowing, he whispered, pulling back her sleeve. The faint burn pulsed on her wrist, the bond to Khan alive, even in his absence. Darius's eyes gleamed with hunger. It should be mine. That bond should be mine. He's already stolen so much from you. Let me give you freedom. Pleasure without chains. Her pulse hammered. The fire crackled. For one dangerous moment, she swayed toward him, desperate for any escape from the storm Khan had created inside her. But then a growl ripped through the night. Low, savage, the kind of sound that made wolves lower their heads. The flames shuddered as Khan stormed into the clearing, his body half-shifted, his golden eyes blazing like a feral god. Snow clung to his dark hair, blood streaked across his jaw, but nothing dimmed the storm in his gaze. Touch her again, he snarled, his voice a guttural thunder, and I'll tear you apart piece by piece. The rival wolves crouched, snarling, but even they trembled at the raw fury radiating from him. The bond between Khan and Ariel seared, burning her wrist, her chest, her very soul. He had come for her like a storm, like death itself. Darius smirked, though tension flickered in his stance. His hand lingered on Ariel's jaw, taunting. Look at him, trembling with rage. Does he want you because he loves you, or because he can't bear to lose what makes him powerful? Ariel's heart shattered with the question. Khan's roar shook the earth as he lunged forward, unstoppable. His eyes locked on Darius with savage, jealous fire, promising blood, death, and a reckoning that would decide all of their fates. The clearing ignited with fire and fury. Khan's roar split the night, shaking the snow-laden trees. Wolves snarled, scattering in a circle, but he didn't hesitate. He lunged for Darius with the precision of a predator who had waited centuries for this kill. Their bodies collided in a brutal crash. Claws tore, fangs snapped, the crack of bones echoed like thunder. Sparks from the fire shot into the air as Khan drove Darius back, golden eyes burning with lethal rage. Ariel could only watch, her chest heaving. The mark on her wrist seared with every strike Khan landed. It was primal, terrifying, magnetic. His body moved with a savage grace, muscles taut, blood spraying as he ripped through the rival pack one by one. "Stay down," Khan roared when two wolves lunged at Ariel. He threw himself between her and their snapping jaws, his claws tearing them apart in a whirlwind of violence. Snow turned crimson beneath him. Darius laughed even as blood dripped from his mouth. "Look at you, Khan. All power, no control. You'll slaughter everything, even the one you claim to love." Khan's fury snapped like a whip. He shifted fully, his alpha wolf form towering, fur bristling black as night with golden fire glowing in his eyes. The rival wolves froze, whimpering, their instincts bowing to his dominance. But Darius didn't yield. He charged, his own wolf snapping forward, and the two titans clashed. Flesh tore. Howls shattered the silence. The air reeked of blood and dominance. Ariel stumbled back, her heart hammering as she watched Khan's darker side. Not the man who kissed her with fire, but the beast who ruled through terror. And still her body burned for him. The fight reached its breaking point. Darius drove claws deep into Khan's side, blood pouring freely. Khan roared, snapping Darius's shoulder with a bone-crunching bite, driving him into the snow. "Mine," Khan snarled, his wolf form towering, chest heaving, blood dripping down his flank. Ariel rushed forward, but before she could reach him, Darius's last surviving wolf lunged. Khan spun, taking the blow meant for her, claws tearing into his side, fangs sinking deep. "Khan!" Ariel screamed, her voice ripping through the night. With a final surge, Khan ripped the attacker apart, snow and blood exploding around them. He swayed, his golden eyes locking onto Ariel's. For a moment she saw it. The man inside the beast, broken but unyielding. Then his legs buckled. The Alpha King dropped to the snow, blood spreading beneath him, his body trembling, breath shallow. Khan collapsed at Ariel's feet, his golden eyes dimming as the rival wolves fled into the shadows. She dropped to her knees, cradling him. The mark on her wrist blazed with pain, as if the bond itself screamed that she was about to lose him. The snow soaked red beneath Khan's body, steam rising where his heat met the frozen earth. Ariel's hands shook as she pressed against his wound, her voice breaking into the night. "Stay with me, damn you," she whispered, tears streaking her cheeks. "You can't leave me now." His golden eyes flickered weakly, fading in and out. "Ariel." The way he said her name was a plea, a claim, a vow. Dragging his heavy frame inside the ruined cabin, she tore strips from her dress, pressing them against his bleeding side. His skin burned beneath her palms, feverish, alive with both pain and the raw power of his wolf. "Don't close your eyes," she demanded, pressing her forehead to his, as if her touch alone could anchor him. And something shifted. The mark on her wrist burned hot, pulsing with his heartbeat. A connection opened between them, invisible but undeniable, flooding her with his pain and his desire. His breath caught as her tears hit his chest. "You don't understand," Khan rasped, voice breaking. "You're mine. You've always been mine." Ariel froze, her pulse racing. But the truth was already written in her trembling hands. She didn't resist when he reached for her, claws retreating, hands shaking as they gripped her waist. Vulnerable, desperate. Their lips met, no hesitation, no restraint. The kiss was fire and blood and need, the culmination of everything they had fought against. Her body arched into his, torn between fear of losing him and the undeniable truth of wanting him. "Khan." Her voice broke on his name as his mouth traced the column of her throat, his teeth grazing her skin in a promise of the claim he had sworn to hold back. "Say it," he demanded hoarsely, breath ragged. "Say you're mine." "I'm yours," she whispered, surrender spilling from her lips before her mind could resist. "I'm yours." And in that moment, she meant it with every breath in her body. He pulled her against him, lips and hands fevered. Each movement a battle between restraint and primal hunger. His wound burned with healing power as their bodies pressed together, as if the bond itself was knitting him back to life. Their intimacy was raw, tangled in desperation. Not polished, not gentle, but a claiming forged in blood and fire. She gave in, trembling, feeling his heat seep into her. Their hearts synchronizing with each ragged gasp, each desperate kiss. And when it was over, when their bodies collapsed together in the flickering candlelight, Ariel felt something stir inside her chest. A pulse, a spark, ancient and wild, answering the call of the mark on her wrist. She gasped, pulling away, her skin glowing faintly as if something dormant had been unleashed. Khan's golden eyes widened, fear and awe blending into one. "Ariel, what have you done?" Her body trembled, power flooding her veins, her wrist blazing brighter than fire. Something old, something not human, had awakened within her, and neither of them could control it. The glow beneath Ariel's skin pulsed like molten silver, tracing veins up her arms, illuminating the dim cabin like moonlight bottled inside her body. Her breath came in ragged gasps, her pupils dilated, her body trembling under the flood of power. "Ariel." Khan's voice was rough, almost reverent, but laced with fear. His hand hovered at her wrist, hesitant to touch, as though she might burn him alive. "This isn't just the bond. This is something older, something forbidden." Her chest heaved. "What's happening to me?" The mark on her wrist flared brighter, and for a heartbeat, Khan swore he saw a crown-shaped halo in the light. Then, as suddenly as it came, the glow dulled, leaving Ariel gasping, clutching herself as though her skin could barely contain the force within. Khan caught her before she collapsed, his arms locking around her trembling body. "You carry blood I've only heard whispered about. Moon blood, royal blood." His golden eyes burned with realization and dread. Hours later, with Khan's wound half-healed and Ariel still restless, a knock shattered the silence. The door creaked open, and an old woman cloaked in gray entered without invitation. Her eyes were milky clouded, but they seemed to pierce straight through Ariel. "You have awakened," the seer rasped, her voice heavy with prophecy. "Daughter of the Moon Queen, lost heir of a forgotten throne." Ariel's blood chilled. "What are you talking about?" The seer's gaze lingered on Khan, then back to her. "The bond you formed will not protect you. It will destroy you both. The prophecy is clear. You must choose." Khan stiffened, his arm tightening protectively around Ariel. "Choose what?" he demanded, voice like thunder. The seer's voice lowered, solemn, final. "His life or your freedom. One path binds you to him forever, claimed, yet chained. The other severs the bond, but leaves him to die." Ariel's throat constricted. Her mind spun as every beat of her heart echoed Khan's within her. Her body still burned with the echo of their intimacy. His scent clung to her skin, his presence woven into every breath. She couldn't imagine losing him. Yet the thought of surrendering her freedom, of binding herself to a fate she didn't yet understand, clawed at her chest. The seer reached out, a skeletal hand brushing against Ariel's wrist where the mark glowed faintly. "The moon has chosen you, child, but only you can decide whether it is a blessing or a curse." Khan's jaw clenched, his amber eyes fierce, as if daring Ariel to look away. "No, she decides nothing tonight. She stays with me." But Ariel's mind betrayed her, whispering of cages and crowns, of power and chains. The seer's final words hung in the cabin air sharp as a blade. "The choice must be made before the next moonrise, or blood will drown this land." The seer's warning lingered like smoke in Ariel's lungs, suffocating, impossible to ignore. "His life or your freedom." The words gnawed at her, but when Khan's arms tightened around her waist, when his chest pressed against her back and his warmth seeped into her bones, her choice felt already made. She turned in his hold, staring up at him, defiance blazing in her eyes. "I won't leave you. I don't care what prophecy says." Khan's jaw flexed as if torn between relief and fear. His lips brushed her temple, possessive, desperate. "Then you are mine," he growled, voice husky with both warning and desire. "Moon or no moon, prophecy or no prophecy. You belong to me." The air thickened, charged. Khan pressed her against the wall, caging her between the timber and the raw heat of his body. His hand gripped her wrist, his thumb brushing over the faintly glowing mark. "This mark," he whispered, voice low, dangerous, "it ties you to me. Even the moon cannot break it." Her breath hitched, her body traitorous as fire coiled in her stomach. "And if it destroys us both? Then we burn together," he growled. His mouth crushed hers, a violent promise and plea all at once. Their kiss was fire and hunger, his hands roaming as though branding her, her fingers digging into his shoulders as if to hold him inside her forever. The world outside their fevered embrace vanished until the door burst open. Shadows spilled into the cabin. Soldiers, no. Wolves cloaked in human flesh, their eyes gleaming with betrayal. And behind them, her breath froze, stood the rival Alpha, smirking, his voice dripping venom. "Did you really think the kingdom still belonged to you, Khan? Or that the Moon Queen's heir would remain hidden forever?" Khan shoved Ariel behind him, his body vibrating with restrained fury, claws threatening to tear through his skin. "You will not touch her." His voice was savage, the alpha in him unleashed. The rival only smiled. "I don't have to." He flicked a hand, and one of his men hurled a dagger. Khan caught it midair, but the distraction was enough. Another figure slipped through the chaos, a slender blade flashing. Ariel gasped, clutching her side as burning pain ripped through her. The blade was laced, venom spreading like wildfire in her veins. Khan's roar shook the walls, primal and unhinged. He caught her as her legs gave out, her lips trembling, skin paling too quickly. "Ariel." His voice cracked, his hands shaking as he tried to stop the poison spread. The rival alpha tilted his head, mock sympathy in his eyes. Only one cure exists for such venom. A full claim. A bond so deep it ties her life to yours. Ariel's vision blurred, but she felt Khan's grip, his trembling lips against her ear. "Hold on," he whispered, desperation laced with something darker. "Don't you dare leave me. I'll save you, even if it means you'll never be free." Her heart thudded weakly, the poison dragging her under. Khan's eyes glowed gold, his wolf surging, torn between saving her life and shackling her fate. If you've journeyed with Ariel through fire and shadow, if you've felt every heartbeat quicken with hers, then subscribe now, because what comes next will test the very fabric of their bond. Khan stands at the precipice of a choice that will bind them eternally or destroy them both. The full claim awaits, a union so profound it will awaken powers neither has ever known. Ancient magic will surge, betrayals will surface, and Ariel will discover the true cost of the moon blood that flows through her veins. The next chapter holds the turning point, the moment that will either save them or damn them forever. Don't miss it. Subscribe and witness the transformation that changes everything. Ariel's last fading breath trembled on her lips as Khan lowered his mouth to her mark, ready to claim her fully, knowing it might damn them both. Ariel's breath faltered, shallow and weak, her lips ghostly pale. The venom surged like wildfire through her veins, dragging her closer to a darkness she could not resist. Khan's arms shook as he held her, the weight of her limp body searing him with a terror he had never known. "No," he growled, voice breaking, forehead pressed to hers. "You don't get to leave me. Not now. Not ever." The rival alpha's laughter echoed in the room, sharp and merciless. "Claim her, Khan, or watch her die. Either way, she is no longer yours to lose." Khan's control shattered. His wolf surged to the surface, claws tearing grooves in the wooden floor as he lowered his mouth to her mark glowing faintly against her wrist. His lips brushed her skin, hot, trembling, desperate. "Forgive me," he rasped, though his beast reveled in what came next. The bite was deep, primal, a searing pain and pleasure that shot fire through her veins. Ariel gasped, eyes flying open as the venom in his essence collided inside her. Her back arched violently against him, a scream of agony twisting into something else, something breathless, erotic, unearthly. Her body writhed beneath his as the bond ignited, tethering soul to soul. The room shimmered, shadows and light exploding around them. His growl vibrated against her throat as he claimed her fully, his mouth worshipping her skin, his hands gripping her as if she might vanish if he let go. "Mine," he snarled against her lips, devouring them in a fevered kiss. "Yours," she gasped, her voice a blend of surrender and fire, her nails raking across his shoulders. The venom's burn twisted into molten heat, her need rising with the force of the bond. Desire and power tangled, pulling them into an explosive union. Every touch, every kiss, every shuddering claim bound them deeper. The mate bond crested with a violent rush of power that cracked through the cabin walls. For a heartbeat, the entire world seemed to bow to them, the alpha and his chosen mate. Then silence. Ariel lay trembling in his arms, their breaths ragged, the air still charged with raw power. But something was different. He felt it in the way her pulse beat against his fingertips. Faster, sharper, too strong for human veins. Her lashes fluttered open and Khan froze. Her eyes glowed, silver and wild, luminous with a power that was not his, but something far older, something primal. "Ariel," his voice broke, both reverence and fear. She sat up slowly, her skin still glowing faintly from the bond, her chest rising and falling with unsteady breaths. Her fingers curled into his shirt, trembling, but her gaze burned with a new fire. "I feel everything," she whispered, voice trembling. "Your thoughts, your hunger, your rage." She clutched her chest, a sharp gasp tearing from her lips. And something else. Something inside me. Waking. The rival Alpha's smirk curved wider even through his defeat. So the prophecy lives, he drawled. The Moon Queen reborn. Not even you, Khan, can chain that power forever. Khan's jaw clenched, pulling Ariel closer as if shielding her from the truth now alive in her veins. But he knew. He felt it too. Ariel's glowing eyes locked on Khan's as her lips parted, whispering words that weren't hers at all. Ancient, commanding, dangerous. Kneel, Alpha. Kneel. The words, though whispered from Ariel's lips, echoed like thunder, shaking the walls of the cabin. Khan froze, his body bowing instinctively, his beast straining under the weight of an ancient authority he could neither fight nor deny. Ariel's glowing eyes widened, horror and awe colliding across her face. No, I didn't mean to. Her voice broke, but her power pulsed again, violent and untamed. The lamps flickered, shadows stretching unnaturally long as the air grew heavy, vibrating with her awakening. Ariel, Khan rasped, forcing himself upright against the command, his jaw clenched, muscles trembling. Every part of him torn between the primal need to submit and the feral need to protect her. You have to fight it. The bond made you stronger, too strong. Control it, or it will consume you. But control was slipping. The ground quaked. Snow outside whirled into spirals. Trees groaned and bent under invisible force. Ariel clutched her head, gasping as if every scream of the forest was inside her skull. I can feel everything. The wolves, the earth you. Her gaze snapped to him, breath hitching, her pupils dilating in a rush of hunger. Your heartbeat, your need. It's burning me alive. Khan caught her before she collapsed, her body trembling violently in his arms. Her scent was different now, wild, intoxicating, laced with raw power that tugged at his beast with savage insistence. His fangs grazed her throat as he struggled, torn between arousal and fear. Ariel, listen to me. You're not alone in this. I'll help you carry it. But if you give in, even for a moment, they will all bow, and you'll never come back. Her nails raked down his chest, desperation blending with desire. The air between them crackled, sparks dancing across their skin, as if the universe itself leaned closer to watch. For a heartbeat, Khan wanted her to lose control, to claim him fully, body and soul, and make the world itself tremble beneath her command. But the door exploded inward. The rival Alpha's broken body was hurled across the threshold, discarded like a ragged doll. A shadow filled the frame, tall, commanding, ancient. His eyes glowed, not gold or silver, but an abyssal black that swallowed the light. Ariel's power recoiled, her glowing eyes dimming to flickers as fear, instinctive and bone-deep, surged through her. The figure stepped forward, his voice low and resonant, vibrating through the walls, through their very bones. My daughter. Ariel froze, her lips parting in silent shock. The power raging inside her stilled, as if recognizing him. Khan's body snapped taut, every instinct screaming danger, his wolf straining for blood. The man's smile curved slowly, darkly. Did he not tell you? Did your Alpha not whisper the truth? That the Moon Queen's power was mine first. The ancient enemy, long thought dead. Ariel's true father. He extended his hand to her. Come to me, child. Your reign begins at my side. Snow swirled around him like a storm that bent to his will. His abyssal eyes locked on Ariel, and for a heartbeat, her body moved as if compelled, her pulse syncing with the shadows that pulsed from his form. Khan's growl split the silence. Deep, feral, the sound of a beast ready to die fighting. He shoved Ariel behind him, his chest heaving, his claws half-formed. You will not touch her. Her father's laugh was smooth and cold, a blade disguised as silk. I already have. She is mine by blood, mine by birthright. The bond you've forced on her is nothing compared to what flows in her veins. His eyes slid to Ariel. I orchestrated it all, little one. Your mother's death, Khan's exile, every thread of your fate. Also you would stand here with power no queen before you has ever held. Ariel staggered back, her heart slamming against her ribs. Images she had buried clawed to the surface. Her mother's screams, a shadow at the edge of firelight, whispers of betrayal. And now the truth stood in flesh before her. No, she whispered, but her voice shook. You're lying. Am I? His tone was cruel, gentle. Ask yourself why you feel every heartbeat in the forest. Why the stars bend when you breathe. That is my gift to you. You are mine. And with me, you will be unstoppable. Khan snarled, his body trembling with the effort to hold his wolf back. He could feel Ariel wavering, could sense her confusion through the bond. Rage and terror tangled with the raw possessive need to keep her his. "Ariel, look at me." He grabbed her wrist, forcing her gaze to his. "You are not his. You are mine, my mate, my queen. He's using you, twisting you. Don't give him your soul." Her father's smile deepened, watching the intimate touch, the way her breath stuttered when Khan's fingers brushed her pulse. "And yet he would cage you with desire. He binds you because he fears you'll realize your true strength." His eyes darkened further, voice a command that slithered into her bones. "Choose, daughter. Come to me. Embrace what you were born to be. Or watch your alpha bleed beneath my claws." The ground cracked open as his power flared, shadows twisting into blades. Khan bared his fangs, planting himself like a shield in front of her, every muscle ready for war. Ariel's pulse raced, torn between two forces, one of blood, one of bond. Her body leaned toward Khan, heat and desire tethering her to him. Yet the pull of her father's darkness whispered to something ancient inside her, something she didn't fully understand. The storm howled louder, snow and shadow colliding. Her father raised his hand, a single gesture of doom. "Decide, child. Stand with me or watch him die screaming." Khan launched forward in a blur of claws and fury, intercepting the first strike. Ariel, caught between them, felt her own power surge violently, threatening to consume them all. The storm cracked open like the heavens themselves had shattered. Ariel stood between the two forces, her father's abyss and Khan's blazing fury, her veins thrumming with ancient power. Silver light burned beneath her skin as the moon queen within surged to the surface. Khan met her father's strike head-on, claws ripping through shadow, his wolf unleashed in full alpha glory. His body was a blur of power and rage, but he bled with every blow. Ariel felt each wound through their bond, the agony tearing into her soul. "No," she cried, her voice echoing with power not her own. She stepped forward, light erupting from her palms, shattering the shadows that curled around them. Her father staggered, eyes narrowing as he realized the truth. She wasn't his to command anymore. "You dare defy me, child?" His voice boomed, shaking the ground. "You are mine by blood." "And his by choice," she whispered, her gaze locking with Khan's. Their bond burned bright, passion and fury weaving together until it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. Khan's hand shot out, gripping her waist, pulling her against him, even as the battle raged. Their mouths crashed together in a desperate, searing kiss, erotic, raw, fueled by the knowledge that this might be their last moment. Her body arched into his, their heat igniting, their souls fusing until the world itself bowed before them. And then together they struck. His claws and her light became one force. Wolf and queen united, tearing through the darkness that had once seemed unbreakable. Her father roared, a sound of rage and disbelief as his form unraveled into mist. The silence that followed was deafening. Snow fell gently again, the storm dissolving into the night. But victory came at a cost. Khan fell to his knees, blood staining the snow beneath him. He smiled faintly, touching Ariel's glowing cheek. "You saved me." "No," she whispered, cradling him. "You saved us." His voice was hoarse, filled with pride and love. "But the crown, it's yours now, my queen." Tears blurred her vision as she held him, their bond searing with unbearable intensity. His pulse faltered, a sacrifice, his strength poured into her in the final strike. The bond tethered him to her, but it was fragile, fading like smoke. "No, don't you dare leave me," she whispered, kissing his lips, her power surging wildly to keep him tethered. For a heartbeat, it worked. His breath steadied, faint but present. He lived, barely, but the cost was etched in her bones. The Moon Queen's crown burned above her, an invisible weight of destiny she could no longer run from. And then the vision struck. Her mind split open with flashes of fire, armies cloaked in shadow, a throne of bones rising in a distant land. A voice older than her father's whispered. This was only the beginning. She gasped, clutching Khan tighter as the world seemed to tilt beneath her. Victory tasted like ash. They had won, but the war waiting beyond the horizon would demand everything they had left. As the snow settled over their broken battlefield, a shadowy figure watched from the treeline, eyes gleaming crimson. "The crown has risen," the stranger murmured. "And so shall the war." Days passed. Khan recovered slowly, his wounds knitting together as Ariel's new power flowed through their bond, mending what the battle had broken. But the mark on her wrist pulsed with a new rhythm, not just binding them, but calling to something else, something waiting in the shadows. The old seer returned without warning, her milky eyes now ringed with silver. "The Moon Queen rises," she intoned, her voice layered with other voices, ancient commanding. "But the throne you have claimed lies in a kingdom you do not know. Your father was merely the guardian at the threshold. The true enemy stirs beyond the veil, and it awakens hungrier than before." Ariel's power flared in response, the lamps flickering with her distress. "What do you mean? What enemy?" "We destroyed him." "You destroyed a shadow," the seer replied, her skeletal fingers tracing the air. "A fragment sent to test you, to awaken what sleeps in your blood. The ancient ones who ruled before the Moon Queens, they have been waiting, watching. Your ascension is a beacon, child. And they are coming." Khan rose, despite his still healing wounds, his golden eyes blazing. "Then we prepare. Whatever comes, we face it together." The seer's laugh was like wind through dead leaves. "Together? Oh, young Alpha, you cannot follow where she must go. The throne of the Moon Queens demands a queen alone. The bond that ties you will either be your salvation or your doom. She must choose whether to accept the crown fully, which means severing the connection that keeps you human, or refuse her birthright and watch you fade as the bond consumes you both without purpose." "No." Ariel's voice was steel, even as it trembled. "There has to be another way." "There always is," the seer whispered, fading like morning mist. "But it requires sacrifices you cannot yet imagine." The weeks that followed were a blur of preparation and heartbreak. Ariel's power grew daily, spreading silver light across her skin in intricate patterns that mapped her connection to the natural world. She could feel the pulse of every living thing. The wolves of the forest, the birds in the trees, the earth itself breathing beneath her feet. But with each surge of power, Khan grew fainter. The seer's words haunted them both. The bond, meant to be eternal, was becoming a leash. Without a clear purpose, without the throne to anchor her power, they were being consumed by the very connection that should have made them stronger. One night, as snow fell softly around the cabin, Khan held her close, his breath warm against her ear. "We both know what you have to do." Ariel shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. "I won't leave you. I won't." "You're not leaving me," he said softly, his golden eyes sad but resolute. "You're becoming what you were always meant to be." "And I." "Don't," she whispered. "Don't say it." "I love you," he continued, ignoring her plea. "I love you enough to let you go. I love you enough to watch you claim the throne, to watch you become the queen this world desperately needs. Even if it means." His voice broke, but he didn't finish. Instead, he kissed her with all the tenderness and passion of someone saying goodbye. Ariel held him as though she could merge their bodies into one, could make him understand through the bond what words could never convey. But understanding and acceptance were two different things. By dawn, she had made her decision. Ariel stood at the threshold of the ancient throne room, her gown woven from moonlight and shadow, her crown, visible only to those with magical sight, burning silver above. Her head. Around her, representatives of the wolf packs, the witch covens, and the forgotten kingdoms had gathered, waiting to witness the coronation of the Moon Queen. Khan stood beside the throne, no longer capable of fighting the fading bond. His human form was weakening, his wolf barely contained beneath his skin. The seer had warned her. If she accepted the crown fully, the bond would transform. He would become her eternal protector in wolf form, bound to her not by choice but by destiny. It was the ultimate sacrifice. Ariel's eyes locked with his across the cavernous hall, and she saw the question there. "Are you sure?" She raised her hand, and the hall fell silent. The silver crown burned brighter, brighter, until it was blinding. Ancient words, words she somehow knew, spilled from her lips in a language older than mankind. The bond between them screamed with power as it transformed. Khan's body convulsed as his human consciousness split, divided between his wolf and his will. His eyes, when they opened, glowed with a golden light that was no longer entirely his own. He was hers now, not enslaved, but bound by something deeper than love, by the ancient magic of the Moon Queen herself. Ariel felt the shift through their connection. The agony of watching the man she loved lose his individuality warred with the relief of feeling his life force strengthen, anchored now to her eternal power. "I accept the throne," she declared, her voice ringing through the hall with the weight of centuries. "And I accept the burden it carries. Let all who hear know. The Moon Queen has risen, and her reign begins now." The hall erupted in a sound that was part cheer, part howl, acknowledgement of the new order. But as the celebrations began around her, Ariel felt the weight of what she had sacrificed settle on her shoulders like a mantle of iron. She had saved Khan's life, yes. But the man she loved, the Alpha King with his sharp gaze and his wicked smirk, was gone. In his place was something else. Something bound to her in ways that transcended mortality. Months passed. Ariel ruled the kingdom with wisdom beyond her years, her power growing with each passing moon. The throne room became a beacon for those seeking justice, protection, and guidance. She was fair, strong, unyielding in her commitment to protect all beings under her rule. But every night she wept. Khan, or the being he had become, never left her side. Her eternal guardian, her shadow, her wolf. In rare moments of clarity, she glimpsed the man he had been in the depths of those golden eyes. And those glimpses broke her heart anew each time. The seer had been wrong about one thing. There was another way. The ancient texts hidden in the royal archives spoke of a ritual, one that could restore his humanity. But only if she was willing to sacrifice her throne, her power, her very essence. A choice no queen had ever made. A choice Ariel found herself contemplating more and more with each passing day. One night, as she sat upon her throne staring out at the kingdom she had sworn to protect, a messenger arrived with news that froze her blood. An army was gathering at the borders, creatures and warriors from the shadow realms, led by something older and more powerful than her father had ever been. They called themselves the Veil Keepers, and they had come for the Moon Queen. They had come for Ariel, and they had come for war. Beloved listener, if you have stayed with Ariel through triumph and transformation, through love's greatest sacrifice and power's heaviest price, then you must stay with us now. For what comes next is not a battle, it is a reckoning. The Veil Keepers are coming, and they bring with them secrets that will shake the very foundations of Ariel's throne. The ritual that could save Khan's humanity lies within reach, but accepting it means war, betrayal, and the potential loss of everything she has built. Her greatest enemy is not an army. It is her own heart, demanding impossible choices between duty and love, between crown and humanity. The storm is gathering, and the next chapter will determine the fate of every realm. Subscribe now, for the final act is about to begin, and you won't want to miss the moment when Ariel must decide. Will she be a queen first or a woman in love? Hit that subscribe button. Destiny is calling. Epilogue. The war drums echoed across the frozen wastes beyond the kingdom's borders. Ariel stood atop the castle ramparts, her silver crown burning bright against the darkening sky. Below her, the armies of light gathered, wolves and witches, ancient beings and mortal warriors, all united under her banner. But it would not be enough. She could feel it through the bond with Khan. His wolf recognized the darkness coming. Something primal, something that had existed before light and shadow divided the world. Something that hungered for the power she now possessed. In the tower behind her, Khan paced in his eternal wolf form, his golden eyes reflecting her distress through their bond. She had asked the seer one final question. Can he ever truly return? The answer had been cryptic as always. Only if you are willing to fall with him. And Ariel was beginning to understand what that meant. As the first scout arrived with news of the Veil Keeper's approach, Ariel made a decision that would echo through the ages. She would not fight this enemy with armies. She would fight with sacrifice. She would fight with love. She descended from the ramparts, moving toward the throne room where the ancient ritual lay prepared. Her hands trembled as she reached for the silver dagger, the one the seer had left for this exact moment. Behind her, Khan's howl split the night, a sound of recognition, of protest, of understanding. She turned to face her beloved wolf one final time, moonlight silvering his dark fur, and whispered the words that would change everything. Forgive me, but I choose us. The dagger caught the light as she raised it, ready to shatter the crown, ready to surrender everything for the chance to save the man she loved. The magic crackled in the air, ancient and hungry, waiting for her choice. And in that moment, suspended between two fates, between queen and woman, between sacrifice and salvation, the story transforms into something neither of them could have predicted. The end of Season 1. And so the Moon Queen's first reign comes to a close. Not with the triumph of a crown secured, but with the intimate rebellion of a woman choosing love over power. Ariel and Khan's bond, forged in fire and sealed in blood, has transcended the boundaries of destiny itself. But their journey is far from over. In the shadows beyond, forces gather that neither throne nor wolf can defeat alone. The true war has yet to begin.